Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be a first impression wear test on the new Guerlain Terracotta Concealer. They had such success with their Terracotta Le Tint foundation that launched last year that is anyone surprised? They came out with a concealer and I quite liked the foundation. I did a dedicated review on it. You'll have to see my thoughts. I'll link the video down below, but I'm very excited about this. I think that this is going to be hopefully a nice concealer. So in today's video, I'll be inserting some swatches, talking about the details of this concealer because I don't think that it's launched in the US just yet. And then I'll be doing a wear test. So you'll be seeing me apply this concealer. I'll be doing a check-in outside in natural daylight, and then I'll be coming back at the end of my day to just wrap up my final thoughts on what I think of that concealer so far. So if that all sounds good to you, if you like wear test videos, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't yet. I would love it if you stuck around. But with all that, let's just get started talking about the details and applying this concealer. All right, so I don't always do an unboxing, but when the package is just this beautiful, I wanted to show it off. So I ordered directly from the Guerlain website, and this is how it came packaged. Now, I have ordered from the Guerlain website before, and the ribbon was much more subdued, so I think that this is still their holiday ribbon. But I'm gonna open this with you. We're just gonna see, and it's a really nice box. Like the flap lifts up, and then it looks like this on the inside with some tissue paper. And here it is. So I'm assuming this is the concealer. And in here are probably some samples. I'm just gonna carefully close that up. I don't know what I'm gonna use that box for, but I'm gonna try and find something. And then the samples that I got in this little dust bag, I think I gotta pick them, but I don't remember. I have the Guerlain Tobacco Honey fragrance sample, and it's just in like a typical little vial like this. And then this is a scalp and hair repair mask. And I also have, what is this? The shampoo. So the shampoo and the hair mask. So I'm gonna use those up right away so they don't go in my sample purgatory. But let's open this up. So this retails for 42 euros. I don't know how much that is in dollars yet, as it hasn't released in the US yet. And it's supposed to be a radiant finish with buildable coverage, transfer proof, and 24 hours of hydration. I ended up getting the shade 1N. I will insert some swatches later on in this video. There's always timestamps below. And let's just test this out. I am wearing the foundation today. This is all that I have on my face right now. I did do a dedicated review on this. It'll be linked down below if you want to see it. And I have the shade 2N in the foundation, which is why I opted for 1N in the concealer. Here's what the component looks like. This is a nice, I think it's glass bottle here. It's really luxe, actually. I'm surprised. I don't think I have any other concealers that are glass. The Gucci's not for sure. I can't think of one off the top of my head. And it looks just perfect next to the foundation. So I like that. That's really, really just a nice touch. Now, this does have quite a bit of product. It has 11.5 milliliters, if that's something that you're concerned about. So while it is a higher price point, I only found one concealer in my repertoire of concealers because I sure have some that had more than this. So just for comparison's sake, the Natasha Denona has 7 milliliters. The Givenchy, which is one of my top all-time favorites, has 11 milliliters, so very close. And I want to say this is maybe $38 off the top of my head. And the Lancome Tinty Dole is the only one I found that had more product out of all my concealers. It has 13 ml. So, you know, that is something to consider if you were just thinking about this concealer, but the price point was a little bit high. And then it does come in 16 shades. Like I said, I got the shade 1N. It does go quite a bit darker. I mean, I'm not even gonna speak on inclusivity because I don't feel like I'm well versed enough in that, but we're just gonna scoot you in closer and get to testing this foundation, the actual fun stuff. Like I said, there's nothing on my face other than this foundation. I'm gonna do my rest of my makeup after I apply this. Let's just open it up first and see what this looks like. It's a little tough to get out. The stopper is very big, and here's what the doe foot looks like. Probably should have done that earlier, I forgot. It's kind of a flimsy doe foot, I'm not gonna lie, pretty standard. I'm not like mad at it, but considering how luxe and thoughtful the packaging is, I feel like the doe foot could be better. But I'm not gonna complain about the doe foot. Let's just see how this product wears. I think I'm gonna do a brush on one side and a sponge on the other. So let's do a brush on this side. I'm just gonna blend that out right away. This is a very thick concealer. I'm pretty surprised actually on how thick it felt, because when it claims to be a hydrating concealer, I kind of expect it to be a little bit of a thinner consistency. It is covering pretty well. I would say it's like a medium coverage. And radiant finish does make me a little bit nervous. I like a hydrating finish, but I don't like a light reflecting finish, especially for concealer. And I'm not finding that to be the case at all. It's pretty nice. Now let's go to the sponge side. And just based on my experience with the foundation, I am not going to set this concealer. I normally always do set my concealer, but this foundation looks absolutely awful if you set it. I don't find it to be mature skin friendly. It really sinks into lines. So I'm going to not put powder, I think, and just see how it wears that way. Because if it's anything similar, that's gonna be the best way. And if it doesn't work out, I'll try it again with powder and go from there. But I think just for today's purposes, we're gonna try it without. I definitely like the sponge side better, even though you get less coverage. I typically prefer a sponge, so keep that in mind. I feel like it just looks a little bit more natural, and this side does look a little bit heavy. I don't really suffer too much with under eye wrinkles. I mostly just suffer from darkness, so I'm looking for a good coverage versus a non-creasing. I can still get creasing, but it's not my main concern. Just gonna even this out. And I wouldn't say it completely covered my dark circles, but it did a decent enough job where I wouldn't complain. This is like a good medium where it looks natural and it looks dried down. I mean, I think not powdering it is the way to go. So now that I've tried out this concealer, I'm just gonna finish up the rest of my makeup. Not gonna powder my under eyes, and I'm gonna keep the eyeshadow very basic, probably just put like bronzer in the crease or something, nothing on the under eyes, because I really wanna see how this concealer wears. And I'll be back to show you the final look in like a 15-minute just check-in on how the concealer is looking. Makeup is complete, and here is what the concealer is looking like. I'm, in the 10 minutes that I did my makeup, I'm not seeing any creasing. Now, looking at it closer, I do wish it had like a smidge more coverage, but this is a good everyday. I just like a higher coverage concealer. Now, I did only do one layer, so maybe I need to try the buildable claim next time and just see. But I do actually have pretty high hopes for this concealer. I think it's gonna be really nice. I'm hoping that it will wear well. The only way I can see it not wearing well is just if it gets too dry and like sucks the life out of my under eyes. But other than that, I think that this is going to be a really successful concealer. On first impressions, I already like this more than the foundation, and I actually quite like the foundation. So high hopes so far. I mean, I will check in about 4 hours and we'll see what the concealer is looking like then. All right, I need to keep this a little bit quick. It's raining, I am cold, but there's actually not that much of an update with the concealer. It looks basically the same. There's no creasing. Take my glasses off, but I think it looks really, really nice, especially for, it's been almost 4 hours. I'm a little bit short on the 4-hour mark just because the sun is going to set soon and I wanted to film this before it's dark. But I'm really happy with this concealer. I do, like I said earlier, think that I like it more than the foundation, but very surprised, and we'll see what the next 4 hours brings. But right now I'm just a little bit confused about the hydration claim. Not that this doesn't have hydration, but it's a very dry formula. Like, this is not a creamy formula. It really is just like a soft matte, very similar to the Gucci concealer if you've tried that, or I think that would be maybe a dupe for it. The Guerlain must be a little bit less expensive only because it has more product, but I think they're about the same. I might just compare the two of them to see, but yeah, I'm very happy with how this looks, other than just wishing that the coverage was bumped up a little bit. However, I normally wear a color corrector, so that would probably correct that and give me the extra coverage that I'm wanting just for my dark circles. Anyways, I am going to insert in some swatches now, and I'll see you in another 4 hours at the end of the day. Here we are, it's the end of the night. It's been a full 8 hours, and other than my complexion products fading, my eye makeup fading, I think my base actually looks better than when I put it on. This foundation just tends to look better the longer you wear it because it kind of just melts into the skin a little bit more and natural oils come through. It doesn't look as drying, but we're here to talk about the concealer. So I have no creasing. I mean, like I said, I don't really suffer with creasing, but I feel just like the foundation that it hasn't moved, it hasn't budged, it hasn't done anything, and I did not powder this at all. I think if you like this foundation, this is the perfect concealer for it. They are basically one in the same. Now, as far as the claims go on this concealer, this is really the only thing that's confusing me about it because it claims to have a radiant finish. I disagree with that. I think that it has a soft matte finish and it's very much a soft setting concealer. To me, I mentioned this in my check-in, but it's very, very reminiscent of the Gucci concealer where I just can't see this looking good when you powder it. Even after 8 hours, like it's looking a little bit more radiant from my, oils, but it's still looking like a soft matte in my opinion. This is not looking very hydrating, very radiant. Maybe it has skincare hydrating ingredients, but I don't think that this looks like a hydrating formula. And if you're someone who likes a really creamy, almost skincare-like concealer, I think you'll be disappointed in this. This is not that at all. I will agree that it's probably transfer proof and that it has buildable coverage, even though I haven't tested that claim, but I can see it probably being pretty buildable and I can see it being transfer proof just based on it being 8 hours and it looks exactly the same, if not better. So I will agree with those. It's just really the finish that I'm questioning a little bit. So you'll have to let me know if you've tried this, if you think that it has a radiant finish or not. Maybe my skin's just acting a little bit different. I will say in regards to the shades, you should have seen the swatches, but I have 2N in the foundation and 1N in the concealer. I'll compare these two up against each other and then some other concealers to this concealer. However, for being 1N, I think that it's a little bit darker than I was anticipating, meaning that if you like a brightening concealer, especially since I don't recommend using powder with this at all, then you're gonna want to go down 2 shades rather than just 1 shade like I did. If you like your concealer to just be a smidge lighter, like I can't really even tell a difference between the two, honestly. So I would go down 1 if you want it to be closer to your skin tone, but 2 or even 3 if you like a brightening under eye, because you can't rely on a powder to offset the color and really bring in that brightness, because I think it'll just look too heavy and cakey if you powder it. So that's really my thoughts on this concealer. Other than that, like I am just loving how this looks. It exceeds my expectations truly, because I was like, not iffy on this. Like I do like this foundation. I ranked it high when I reviewed it. When I did a speed review, I ranked it high. I just don't think it's for everyone. Whereas this is just a much more versatile concealer in my opinion. Unless there are certain things that you really love in a concealer, then you won't like this. I also just want to kind of put it on a scale of my favorite concealers. So my top 2 concealers are the Huda Beauty Faux Filter Concealer and the Givenchy Prism Libre Concealer. Now those are both opposite ends of the spectrum. The Huda Beauty is very much full coverage and it will erase all of your sins. The Givenchy is lighter coverage. I wouldn't say it's sheer coverage, but it's a true light coverage, and it is very much a hydrating finish without being radiant. So this falls right in the middle. So I'm hoping that this just continues to like inch its way up, because if I'm not wanting something super full coverage or super light, I can reach for this and know that I'm set. It has that coverage in between the two, if you know the two, and it has the same kind of finish, more leaning towards the Huda Beauty, less the Givenchy, but I think that this is going to work for a lot of people much more than the foundation. And I think the foundation had its moment online for a little while. A lot of people were really liking this. So I'm excited to see what people's thoughts are on this concealer. I love the packaging. This is probably one of the more luxurious concealers I've purchased, even comparing it to the Gucci concealer, which I do think the formulas are like neck and neck. If you already have that, I don't know if it's worth it to pick this one up unless you just really like to have concealers. But this packaging is much more luxury to me than the Gucci one, which is plastic. The glass just really takes it up a notch. I don't think there are any other glass components I have in a concealer in my collection, and I have around 30 concealers. I have quite a few. The last kind of just con is the doe foot. I already mentioned it, but it leaves a little bit to be desired. It still does its job, it's functional, but I do wish it was maybe like a little bit bigger, a little bit more plush. It kind of just knocked it down half a point because it was such nice packaging. But that's really kind of all I have to talk about today. I would love to hear your thoughts down below. If you plan on picking up this concealer, if you liked the foundation, if you tried it, and just what you think of all these concealer launches, because there are quite a few. I'm gonna pass on the Fenty. I know that that one recently came out, but I'm trying to just scale back my purchases. I decided this was my birthday present to myself. This is one of my purchases for January, so I'm gonna hold back on the Fenty, but that seems like the complete opposite of what this one claims. I would just love to hear all your thoughts below on all things concealer and what you look for, what you like, and if you plan on picking this up. But this is where I'm going to leave you all. I hope you're having a good one, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.